TIFU by innocently giving away worn underwear. This happened in the early 2000s when I was about 17. I come from a very small and rather poor town where it was nothing out of the usual to give away your used clothing to family and neighbors. For children, this also extended to socks and underwear. I remember that I always got my cousin's underpants when she outgrew them until I was at least 12. So when I was older, I went to sell my used clothing on a flea market and took some bras and, obviously perfectly clean, panties I grew out of to put in a free-to-take box under the table. Due to my age and upbringing, I had absolutely no clue that panty sniffing was a thing. An elder gentleman approached the table and asked me about the panties. I very eagerly told him that yes, I wore them myself and my age and so on. In my innocent mind, I thought he wanted them for his grandchildren and was asking about my age to measure the sizing. He then proceeded to actually sniff them, which I took as a measure of cleanliness. He asked if he could take all of them and went off with the whole box. Even though I found him very weird and didn't like the interaction with him, I was very proud of myself and happy that I did such a good deed. It took years for me to realize that I supplied a pervy older guy with a huge supply of worn adolescent panties. TLDR, I gave a whole box of clean, but worn underwear to a guy without realizing what he'd probably do with it, since I had no idea about panty sniffing. TIFU having sex with my ex. Last week my ex-GF, 20, called and asked if I, 22M, was keen to continue sleeping with her. I never expected to hear from her again, let alone see her naked. Our relationship recently came to an end. I tapped out because it became clear to me that the two of us were incompatible. My ex disagreed and thought screaming at me would somehow change my opinion. Considering how upset she was during our breakup, I was surprised when I got the call from her asking for sex. She said she had no intention of getting back together. All she wanted was to share a bed with someone who knew her well enough to know what buttons to press to get her off. Not gonna lie, the unexpected ego boost disarmed me. Her closing comment was, scratch out the friends and friends with benefits, but keep the benefits. I was willing to test it out. Last night my ex and I reunited for the first time since the dramatic final episode of our relationship. She followed me to my room and we hooked up. I woke up this morning with one arm cuffed to my bed. My ex was gone. A random note on the pillow said the key for the handcuffs was in the condom under the pillow. I flipped the pillow and discovered the condom. I used condom, but not the condom I used. Different brand, different size, different load. I did what had to be done to get the key out of the condom and unlock the handcuffs. It was like a Fear Factor challenge, but all you get is some dude's nut juice on your fingers. Without wasting time, I disposed of the condom, the key, the cuffs and the pillow before tossing all my sheets in the laundry and scrubbing my hands with disinfectant. One was fuming, but I was prepared to file my experience under crazy ex-GF and never communicate with my ex again. However, I soon realized she did more than plant another person's used condom under my pillow. She planted another person's used condom in one of my running shoes as well. The condom actually stuck to the bottom of my foot when I removed my shoe. It was disgusting. I decided to check everything. Shoes, socks, pockets, bags, etc. I managed to find another used condom in the hood of my hoodie. I informed my roommate because I didn't know if my ex was crazy enough to hide used condoms elsewhere in our flat. He advised me to block and delete her phone number and social media, which is what I did. My roommate and I have been searching for used condoms in every corner of our flat since we got out of bed. I have so many questions. Are all those condoms from the same person? Does that person know my ex was using safe sex for evil? How did I not see this level of crazy during my relationship? I guess I'll never know. TLDR. I allowed my ex-GF to convince me to sleep with her, and now I'm discovering used condoms that she planted in my room to demonstrate how much she hates me. TIFU by letting one rip in front of my boyfriend. I've, 21F, been seeing my boyfriend 25M for almost a year now, and he's a pretty good guy. He's just a little more proper than me. He won't fart or burp in front of me, and he probably expected me to never burp or fart in front of him. I've told him though that I think farts are hilarious and my family farts in front of each other all the time, and my grandpa even rates them out of 10. Since my BF finds it disgusting though, I haven't shown him my full fart potential until today. We had eaten Mexican food earlier and it wasn't agreeing with me super well, and I had to pass the gas pretty bad, but my BF was with me in the kitchen. I had to think of a diversion and asked him if he could take the trash out for me. He said yes and took it out the door. He wasn't even gone a second when I ripped one that almost vibrated the house. I was glad that he didn't witness the mass destruction of my pants, but when I turned around he was staring at me from the back door. He forgot to put his shoes on and was coming back in. I've never seen such disgust on a face before, but he definitely thinks I'm nasty now. I think my grandpa would have given me a thumbs up and 10/10 on that one though. Update: thank you to everyone that finds farts as funny as me. But after he came back in the house from taking out the trash, he didn't even acknowledge my magnificent foghorn fart. I did tell my grandpa about it though and he was proud of me. TLDR farted in front of my boyfriend and he's probably gonna leave me now. TIFU by getting a new job and doing it in 17th time with the last person. TIFU by getting a new job and being stupidly efficient in it. TLDR Billabit basically I got a job 3 months ago in Elverben, as most new personnel would, trying my best. One suppose this fuck up happened a few months ago but I only just realized when it was raised at a staff meeting that the team pay was far lower than usual. So it's just come to my attention that I'm keeping up with all of the tasks within 7 working hours a week. The last person who held this job, for 4 years worked 35 hours a week to get it all done. That's over 4 times more efficient. I'm getting paid by the hour and could have easily claimed I needed 38 hours a week to get shit done. However, they've already seen it can be done in 8. I just lost myself at least $3,000 a month in paid Reddit scrolling time. I fucked maths up but can't change the title, should say 1/5. TLDR, got shit done efficiently, shot myself in the foot. TIFU eating Wingstop after anal the night before Easter. I guess technically this was yesterday last night but oh am I feeling the FU this morning. So, yesterday I tried anal again for the first time in like 5 years with my spouse. Dunno what spurred it but it was my sudden idea in the heat of the moment and all was, mostly, fine besides the normal soreness. I should mention here that we are having Easter lunch at our home today so we spent the majority of yesterday cleaning and prepping, and obviously being horny bastards. Naturally, I did not want to cook dinner after all that and thought Wingstop sounded great. And it totally was at that moment. Anyways, I planned to wake up early this morning and start on the cooking. What I did not plan for was waking up at 4 a.m., sweating and sprinting for the toilet. My stomach was making the most awful noises and I was relieved to make it to the toilet until I remembered. This explosive diarrhea I could have handled. I was not prepared for the fiery hell that is now my butthole. I legitimately almost vomited from the unexpected pain. What would have been some normal soreness is now what I would expect childbirth from your asshole would feel like. It hurts to walk. I want to call my mom and ask her for help preparing the food, but I can't even bring myself to make up an excuse. TLDR, I had spontaneous anal with my spouse yesterday, decided to have Wingstop for dinner and now can barely walk or sit to prepare Easter lunch for my family and friends. Update: holy shit, okay, I haven't even read all of the comments yet. I got everyone fed. I wrote this on the toilet this morning and then forgot about it. I was tired and in pain and didn't see an end in sight at that time. Some flushable wipes and time was all I needed. I am currently putting off a visit to a GI specialist at a probable celiac disease, so it wasn't Wingstop's fault. I am simply an idiot. I wanted to address a few things that seem to come up a lot. I'm actually a female, but thank you for the concern for my prostate. Want to have a bidet attachment, but it scares me. I appreciate the concern for my sex life. I definitely learned some tips and tricks for next time. My husband and I are planning on reading all of these comments later to laugh. Some of you are comedic fucking geniuses. TIFU letting out gas when I thought I was alone. 133F, have a new boyfriend. 40M, I am head over heels about. He is smart and handsome and kind and so sexy. We have been going out for a couple of months and I am completely enamored. We decided to go away for a weekend to NYC and he surprised me at the hotel with the most decadent, buttery pastries and I couldn't stop myself. I ate them despite knowing my stomach wouldn't be happy after. And it wasn't. It was rumbling and cramping. But I held the gas in like a trooper. There was no way this Romeo was gonna see that side of me. So I went to take a shower. I made sure the water was coming down nice and loud. My dream man was in the other room. Door was closed. Coast was clear. It was good. I would just let a few controlled toots out so there was no way he could hear it. Alice, as the little trumpet let out its first notes, I felt the arms of this beautiful man wrap themselves around me from behind. He wanted to surprise and join his sexy new girlfriend in the shower. The poor man was hoping for a soapy hot babe, but instead was met with wet naked farts, which are the worst kind. He couldn't stop laughing. OL. TLDR, farted in front of new boyfriend when I thought I was alone. He surprised me in the shower, so mortifying. TIFU by telling someone from the FBI to investigate these nuts. I work for USPS as a general clerk. My job involves mostly receiving and paying invoices for contracted vehicle repair work. I got a call that went as follows: me, city, vehicle maintenance. This is me caller, with a heavy Hindi accent. Hello, this is Alex from the FBI. I was wondering, me, how about you investigate these nuts? Then I hung up. It was such an obvious scam I didn't want to deal with it. USPS has its own investigative law enforcement service, so even if there was something I wouldn't be dealing with the FBI. A few minutes late my boss walks into my office and asks me why I told the guy investigating contractor fraud to investigate my balls. My coworker had been the point of contact for Alex. My coworker is on vacation, so all his calls came to me. The FBI is working with the Postal Inspection Service because this particular contractor had done work for multiple government agencies. To make it worse, Alex is coming to the office to take a look at some paperwork. The only empty desk in the place is the spare one in my office, and he's going to be here for multiple days. TLDR, FBI called. I thought it was a scam and was rude. It was not. TIFU while arguing with my boyfriend. Today I fucked up while having an argument with my boyfriend. He is a bit of the jealous type, and has recently been asking about me on my phone. Today he argued that as boyfriend-girlfriend we should be allowed to look at each other's phones. I disagreed, said phones are private, and that he should trust me enough not to have to go through my phone. He says, if you don't let me look, it makes me think you are cheating, and then for some reason I decided that the smart thing to say was, oh please, if I wanted to cheat, you'd never find out. He didn't say anything, he just stared at me for a long time. Then he got up, and left, and now I'm pretty sure I'm single. TLDR, I was arguing with boyfriend, and stupidly said that if I wanted to cheat, he'd never even know. TIFU by warning my friend not to take a seat, because colored people just sat there. Obligatory. This didn't happen today, but some years ago. I went to a convention with friends, and on our way back we were understandably tired and struggling to think straight. We went into the tram, which was very full. Both from people coming from our convention, but also from another festival that was taking place at the same time. We didn't get a seat, and, tired as we were, kept watching to see if anyone would get up to leave the train. Finally, a couple gets up right next to us, and my friend is moving to take their seats for us. But before I can think, I shout, "Wait, don't sit there." Colored people just sat there. Instantly everyone turns to me. God, I wanted to jump out of the moving train right then and there. The couple that just got up were full of powders in different colors, because they just came from a Harley festival, and it stained the seats. I wanted to warn my friend because her outfit probably wouldn't take the color powder too well. TLDR, said something very racist but meant to say that actual colorful powder stained the tram seat. TIFU by peeing on my doctor's face. So I have urinary retention. I can't fully empty my bladder, and was recommended by my doctor to have a bladder installation, which is a treatment in which the bladder is injected with a solution through the catheter, leaving it there for a bit, and then draining the solution through the catheter. Being caught off guard, the doctor started by inserting the catheter, and whilst experiencing an excruciating pain, the solution started filling in my bladder. It was like a surprise water park ride, but your bladder is the one taking the plunge without any advance notice. My bladder at this moment was at max capacity, and for the medication to take effect, the doctor told me to hold it. The problem is, everything was happening very fast. Combine that with improper placement of the catheter, I unintentionally started peeing on the doctor's face. It was a long pee as well. TLDR, the doctor recommended a bladder installation to treat urinary retention, but I was caught off guard and the catheter was improperly placed, leading to a long pee on the doctor's face. TIFU by going through my father's old things, extremely in SFW. So today my father asked me if he paid me about $20 would I go through his little building that got built like 20 years ago. Fuck up number one was agreeing to this. I went into this fucking mess and I start grabbing random stuff to steal, old cassette tapes, CDs VHS tapes, etc. I pack some of the stuff I'm going through CDs and dads. Most of them are burnt CDs, so they have really unspecified name like racial slur music, rock mix, pop mix, etc. Then there's this one I read at the time of. It was smeared and hard to read, Anime Love. This was a normal assumption as my dad used to watch anime often. As I find this, I store it away until I leave, expecting to uncover an old burnt copy of a Bleach episode or something. I went about my business cleaning out the place, finding more CDs and stuff like that, and then me and my father start a fire to burn the cardboard boxes and garbage in it. We let the fire go out and I go back in. One grabbed the mysterious disc and put it into a DVD player. The disc began to play and I met with a horse having sex with a woman while several men watch. I then immediately ejected the disc and realized what the disc actually said. It didn't say Anime Love, it was instead something far worse. It said Animal Love. TLDR, today I fucked up by discovering my father had horse pollen burnt on a DVD. TIFU, by letting my dad see my extremely kinky sex. God, I literally wanna die. Earlier today I had to reset my Apple ID password and my dad and I are under the same Apple ID. It's a long story, why we do that is irrelevant, but after I reset the password I guess it merged our iMessage so he can receive messages sent to my phone number. Well, I have been sending messages to a guy where he explicitly discusses his piss kink, among other absolutely sinful kinks, and my dad saw it all. This poor man. He's the sweetest, most wholesome human I will ever know, and he had to witness these, as he put it, vile messages of people peeing on each other. Kill me. I'm not even into that kink. I'm just bored and playing along, and now I've tainted my relationship with my dad. This isn't even the first time Apple synced our messages. I just never learn. TLDR, Apple merged my iMessages with my dad and he saw the most vulgar degenerate sexts I have ever sent a person. Edit, I never wanted to change my Apple ID. I have a lot of Game Center data saved up, but I might make him make a separate one instead. TIFU, by flashing my vagina to my in-laws. Of course this happened about 14 years ago, but I was reminded of it once again by another story on here. I took a trip with my then boyfriend and his family to Florida in 2009. I packed lots of sundresses and was really excited to wear all the new clothes I bought. One night we went out walking on the beach and I was wearing a white, somewhat see-through sundress. I had realized before leaving the hotel that none of my underwear would work as the prints could be seen through the dress. My solution? Don't wear underwear. Easy enough. So we are on the beach and all decide to take turns climbing a lifeguard chair. I completely forget about the no underwear and climb up in front of all of my, now, in-laws. They definitely got a full-on view of the lady parts and probably everything else too. I still remember my husband's voice saying, Mandalorian 907. And I instantly knew my mistake. I climbed down, carefully, and pretended like nothing happened. No one has ever mentioned that again, but I cringe every time I remember. TLDR, went commando wearing a sundress and forgot and flashed my BF's whole family. TIFU, by leaving phone under my pillow during intercourse. Happened the other night. My so and I were about to get it on. Well, I stuck my phone under my pillow. When we were finished we were alerted by a knock on the door. He got up and I went to check my phone. During sex my phone made an emergency call to pressing the side button 5 times in a row. Well, the 911 center heard our entire encounter and that was them at the door and they were on the phone. I told them to ignore the call and they said, well, we heard what sounded like a woman crying and sent the police. I got frustrated and screamed I was having sex and the cop was in the house at that point doing the welfare check. I guess he and my so heard me yell and started laughing. The cop left and my so came back and was giggling. He told me there were like 4 cop cars outside parked in the road in front of various neighbors' homes, because we have too many cars in the drive for them to park there. Worried it woke the neighbors up. Just generally feel uncomfortable. I turned all the SOS settings off on my phone. I'm so mortified. TLDR, phone sauce called 911 while having sex and the cops showed up to my so's house because they thought they heard a woman crying. TIFU, by cleaning my own butt. So, I was at work and in the bathroom doing my thing and it was not going so well. As I continuously wiped there was no sign of number 2 from letting up on the TP. One decided, why don't I just wet some paper towels and really do some maintenance back there? Get all squeaky clean and move on with my day. I get up, pants down to my knees, wet the paper towel and bend over to start cleaning my rear. Then the worst thing imaginable happens. I forgot to lock the door. The door opens and it's a customer standing there, jaw on the floor as I'm bent over scraping my beehole with a wad of wet paper towels. I panicked and didn't know what to do or say, so I just look up at her from my bent over position without uttering a single word or moving. The word humiliated isn't enough. She slams the door shut and is repeatedly apologizing on the other side. I'm basically dead inside at this point. Why didn't one lock the damn door? I always do, but not this time. I'm the only one at work, so I wash my hands and have to force myself out of the bathroom and work with this customer that saw me at probably my most vulnerable state ever in my entire life. She was super cool about the entire thing, but I feel like I need to climb under a rock and live there for the rest of my life. TLDR, I was walked in on in the bathroom while bent over scrubbing my filthy ass. TIFU by electrocuting myself. Well, as the title says, I, 31F, shocked myself today. So there I was laying on my heat pad because my back is jacked up, genetics and recent move. My DR man and I were enjoying some us time. Things were getting a little intense and for lack of better words I got liquid on my heat pad. The second the liquid hit my heat pad, which was actually turned off. Learned after the fact, but after further examination IT has a hole in IT. I felt like I got donkey kicked in my heart. I saw stars. My ass was burning. My man was freaking out asking what happened and all I could say was my chest is killing me. I thought I had just came to the finish line very intensely, but no, my dumbass shocked myself. I now have burns on my tush. My leg is still slightly numb. My chest feels a bit better, and I feel like an idiot. So y'all, don't jerk it while on a heat pad. I can't believe my trusty heat pad betrayed me like this. It's in the trash and I will never trust myself near electronics ever again. TLDR, I got liquid on my heat pad and electrocuted myself. Update, at the ER now. I too update y'all with if I'm dying or got superpowers. Update, I'm all good. Didn't explode my heart. Just burnt my ass. ER said I'm perfectly healthy and to have a good day. Will still update about the superpowers. Changed electrocuted to shocked for Jesus' sake. Update, I bought a heated blanket. TIFU by roaring at my daughter. This happened yesterday, and reoccurred today, and potentially might be an ongoing issue. Whilst putting my daughter to sleep last night, she roared at me, so I, naturally, roared back at her. Which she found hilarious. So this continued for a little bit, but then she enjoyed it so much so that she wouldn't go to sleep for another hour after that. So we come to the night where, as you can probably guess, whilst I was getting her to sleep, she again roared at me, several times. I refrained from doing it back and had to stifle my giggles, but to no avail as she then started laughing to herself, and wouldn't go to sleep. She's now finally asleep, but I'm just hoping this doesn't become a nightly occurrence. TLDR, I think I've now created a sleepy baby dinosaur. TIFU by walking into a random man's house thinking it was my sister's house. So I was delivering wedding invites with my partner and I haven't actually been to my sister's place, so I got her address and mentally told myself it was X number and went straight to it. My sister had mentioned she wasn't home, and one saw the door on the snib, so I thought SHRT maybe she doesn't know she's left her door open. I'll check to see no one is inside, opened the door and stuck most of my buddy in when I noticed the man sat right next to the front door on his PC. I'm like, oh hi, I'm so sorry, is this my sister's house? Quite obvious at this point it's not, and he goes no sorry, and I went to leave and stuck my head back in and said I thought she lived here and left her door open, I'm so sorry, and he says no it's okay, sorry she's not here, and I said okay bye and just shut the door. My sister lives 2 doors down. I'm mortified. TLDR, I walked into a random man's house believing it to be my sister's. Thought she had left her door open a little, so let myself in to make sure no one was inside. TIFU by fisting my girlfriend and losing consciousness. Important detail, I can't stand blood, I get nauseous just looking at it, and on rare occasions I pass out. So yesterday my girlfriend and I decided to experiment a little. It keeps the heat up during sex. This isn't new to us and we know each other's limits well. We got down to business and tease each other, so tonight we have a goal, full hand anal fisting. We have had several failed attempts, but each time we get closer and closer to the goal. Of course we're extremely careful and don't force anything, and when we feel pain we stop. Everything went very well and I progressed little by little. When I saw the progress and the ease with which things were going, I knew that today was the day. I've reached the tipping point, the widest part of the hand where the knuckles are. Then I hesitated. I wasn't sure if I should continue because I felt it was too tight and that wouldn't have been a good idea until she started moving my hand in. This is where the thing goes wrong, and voila, we made it. So I keep going and going. We're both satisfied with the result and continue doing what we're doing. Everything was fine until I decided to add more lube, but when I looked closer, I noticed that the sheets under her were red and my hand was covered with a mixture of lube and blood. That was the moment I f up. I knew this was going to be one of those rare occasions when I couldn't help myself and the lights went out. The next thing I remember was her trying to wake me up in a panic while my hand was still up her ass and my head was wet like after a shower. What happened was when I lost consciousness, I fell and twisted my arm so that it pressed on the bladder, releasing its entire contents on me. From what she told me, I was unconscious for 15-20 seconds. I can only imagine what was going through her mind in that short time, but one thing we agreed on: imagine if she had to dial 911 and tell them her boyfriend is unconscious and his hand is stuck up her ass. Yes, she tried to get it out, but couldn't. Today the situation feels a little tense even though we talked and according to her it was not a big deal. I feel terribly embarrassed, but these are things that are out of my control and I don't know how to fix what happened. TLDR: fisted my girlfriend, lost consciousness after sight of blood on my hand. TIFU: by serving asparagus at our Easter party. This happened Easter 2019, my dad just reminded me of it. We have family over for an Easter party. About 25 people between my parents, siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, and grandparents. Throughout the day my aunt had a fair bit of wine. I wasn't paying much attention to how much, but probably 4 or 5 glasses worth. It gets time for dinner, and one of the sides we made was some sautéed asparagus. My aunt spots the asparagus and goes to grab some. She puts some pieces on her plate and says, "I love asparagus, it tastes like cun." We all stop and go silent. My uncle's face goes red, then we all started laughing. My aunt didn't drink any more that day, and has limited herself to 2 glasses of wine at family parties since then. My dad and I can never eat asparagus again. TLDR: aunt says that asparagus tastes like cum at a family Easter party. TIFU: called cupcake. Howdy y'all, this didn't happen today, but I figured I too share a story from my school days. I was driving home from college and was a bit stressed out at schoolwork and other random life stuff. I passed a motorcycle cop that pulled someone over. Me being an idiot decides that this means all the other cops in the city no longer exist and speed up to get home sooner to start the huge amount of homework I needed to do. Well, no more than a minute later I fly by this other motorcycle cop and he immediately pulls me over. He dismounts and walks up to my car and asks, "Why were you going so fast? You not see my partner up there?" And my sleep-deprived, stressed out brain decides that the best response is, "Oh, I didn't know you were gay." Awkward silence. "Sir, license, registration and proof of insurance." It was not fun paying off the ticket. TLDR: call cop gay, got ticket. TIFU: by banging my first cousin. So, didn't happen today, but last weekend. Finally getting around to really processing it all and I guess trying to deal with it. Went out for drinks with my girlfriend and met up with my younger cousin at the bar. We'd all hung out once before and had a great time. My cousin invited a couple of her friends to the bar too. We did some bar hopping. I got shit-faced pretty unintentionally. The last bar was, I swear, not putting any mixers in my cocktails, they were straight alcohol. So anyway, we're about to leave and my cousin's friends are trying to get her home, because she's shit-faced too. Well, my GF was RDD, so we offered to let her stay in our spare room. Everyone was cool with it because who's safer than family, right? Wrong. We get home and, I had to piece together some of this later because I blacked out for most of it. Apparently initially everything was cool. My cousin went to the spare room and my GF got her situated. The problem started a little later when I, in my infinite wisdom, decided to walk straight out of my bedroom with my girlfriend in it, and into my cousin's room. I don't particularly remember much except for 2 details which I guess are not important to the story. Well, okay, so one might be. I remember her giving me a very enthusiastic BJ, which, as you can imagine, makes a lot of noise. Apparently after a while my GF came out of the room wondering where I was because I just fucking disappeared. She didn't barge into the room or anything, but she heard the noises, which is pretty fucking obvious. So at that point, she left. Like me. She left me, and I don't blame her. Anyway, that means I wake up the next morning, having blacked out, oblivious that my GF was gone already, but I'm fucking naked next to my naked cousin. There's cum all over the bed where her face was. She didn't even sleep with a pillow. There's obviously no hiding this, but I'm still half drunk and I went to try to go sneak back into my room, which I found empty. So yeah. One, haven't heard from my F all week, and I'm sure we're done, and I don't blame her. All I can hope for now is that this shit doesn't get out to my family, because I would probably implode. No, my cousin and I are not going to start hooking up regularly. It's actually super awkward and she has hardly said a word to me either. Again, I don't blame her. TLDR, drunkenly slept with my cousin, ruined my relationship, family might hear about it, I'm an idiot. TIFU, by accidentally getting sexual with my dentist, again. I can never go back to my new dentist after 2 visits because I'm an idiot. My dentist is a very nice and professional man. Our first appointment was going pretty smoothly until he made some innocuous remark about us being strangers. My immediate reply was, "Oh, you're not a stranger. You've been inside of my mouth for 20 minutes. Did not intend to make a sexual joke. His face turned red and he was clearly embarrassed, but he continued on like a true professional, and we were probably both relieved when the appointment was over. I had my second dentist appointment today. I actually mentally prepared myself to be a model patient who didn't say anything weird, thank you very much. He had been working in my mouth for about 5 minutes when he started to seem really uncomfortable or something. His face was red and he was breathing a little heavier. I was a bit concerned and also confused. Like, how could I have embarrassed him this time? I had hardly spoken. So he keeps working in there, and then I realize what the hell is happening. My dentist was wearing grape-flavored gloves. I had been absent-mindedly licking his fingers the whole time. Never going back. TLDR, today I fucked up by licking my dentist. TIFU, by thinking my son was having gay sex when he was just eating hummus. So I, 39F, have a son, 15M, and he brought a friend round today. They immediately went to the room and I assumed they would just play some video games or whatever, so I was totally fine leaving them. It was about 30 minutes in when I was walking past, I heard sounds such as, "OMG, that's so good, and it's so good with that in it," and various sounds. It really sounded like they were having gay sex. I was super weirded out by it, so I quickly went downstairs and waited for his friend to leave. When this friend left an hour or two later, I asked my son what they were doing in his room, because although I don't mind him being gay, and it's normal for teenagers to have sex, a condom really should be used. So I planned to confront him about that. However, the answer shocked me to my very core. They weren't having sex, they were eating hummus. I was shocked, and initially didn't believe it. We had never had hummus before, and I asked him to show me the hummus if this was true. So he did, and I ate hummus for the first time, and oh my god, was it good. We experimented with different things in it like bread and carrots, and it was great. Apparently his friend had heard about how he had never had hummus before and thought this was absurd, so had planned a date for a hummus party. So yeah, it ended up being quite a good ending. I discovered how nice hummus was. TLDR, thought my son was having gay sex, he just really liked hummus.
Thank you for watching.